Buenos días, le quiero informar a las personas, dirigentes venezolanos y otras personalidades que van a acompañar al congresista en esta conferencia. Tenemos a Gisela Parra, que es secretaria de la Mesa de Unidad Democrática de Venezuela, Joslyn Sánchez, de la Directiva de Voluntad Popular, José Hernández, que es el secretario adjunto también de la Mesa de la Unidad Democrática Venezolana, José Antonio Colina, que es el presidente de Venezolanos Perseguidos y Exilados, y Carlos Pereira, que es el presidente del Comité Venezolano-Americano del Partido Demócrata. Y también nos acompaña, estamos muy orgullosos de que esté aquí, a la señora Annette Tadeo, que es la presidenta del Partido Demócrata del Condado Miami-Dade y vicepresidente del Partido Demócrata de la Florida.
I'm going to make some quick comments. I want to thank these community activists and Venezuelan leaders for being here. Obviously, we, through our office, have been staying in close contact with these folks. Let's be clear, the death toll stands at 12 people thus far, from what we know. And as you watch these young people struggle with an economy that's failing, with a society that's collapsing, the one issue is that the government of Venezuela is not addressing these problems. This is no longer a democracy, and no responsible nation should stay quiet. We've had in the last few days conversations with State Department, National Security Council, the White House on these issues, and I think it's tremendously important. The statements from the White House, I think, have been good, as well as I think the statements from Secretary of State Kerry. Let's be clear, from the moment I got elected to the United States Congress, we put forward the Venezuelan Liberty Act, which was meant to do what I'm going to ask, what I asked yesterday of the President to do, which is to find a pathway forward. I also joined Ileana Ros-Lehtinen last week in the letter that she's putting forward that urges the U.S. to work. Yesterday I put in a call to Secretary General Insunza, also along the same lines. And yesterday I wrote the President of the United States to move forward on a process for these folks. Venezuelans are under a series of different migratory status. Some is deportation pending, some is asylum pending, some is unregular work permit, some are businesses that started in Venezuela, transferred here, the business has been taken over by the Venezuelan government, and people don't have a pathway forward. What is clear, these Venezuelans are now part and parcel of this community. And what we need to do is incorporate them into our community the way any immigration bill would have done, and was our intention all along. But right now, if there was any doubt that Venezuela is a place where people live in fear of persecution, that has been cleared. Not only the blood that has already been shed, but the repressive tactics of the Maduro regime have demonstrated that they are incapable of doing anything to work with the civil society. So what we're asking the President to use is plenary authority to clear up these cases, give direct guidance to U.S. Homeland Security so that the Venezuelans that are among us can be clear. Let's understand, U.S. still has a very generous refugee policy, and I'm sure that those that are leading these demonstrations and are victims of persecution, if presenting themselves to a U.S. official, will get refugee status. But we have this sort of migratory limbo with the Venezuelan community that is just not fair. Has not been fair for a very long time. The events of the last few days, I think, show that it's time to fix that. So if you'll let me, I'm going to say this in Spanish real quick. Estamos aquí para aclarar la situación y para hacer un pedido especial a la administración. 12 muertos es lo que sabemos hasta este momento. Indudablemente que cuando uno ve a estos jóvenes luchando en las calles de Venezuela, lo que es claro es que hay casi una guerra civil ocurriendo en Venezuela, y obviamente lo que queremos es que eso no ocurra. Pero lo que sí sabemos es que esto ya no es una democracia, y es un gobierno que está actuando de una manera represiva, dañando a sus ciudadanos. Y hemos sido inspirados con líderes como Leopoldo López, que tuvimos la oportunidad de conocerlo cuando visitó aquí, y hablar de esta misma situación. Pero también lo que es claro es que desde que comencé como congresistas, inmediatamente tratamos de resolver lo que es el problema que hoy nos encontramos, que es el mismo problema de muchos venezolanos que se encuentran en un estatus migratorio pendiente, asilos no resueltos, deportaciones paradas, y ahora sabemos que estas personas no pueden regresar a su país. Y lo que pienso es que después de tanto tiempo entre nosotros ha llegado el momento que la administración debe dar guía clara, como le da la Constitución norteamericana al Ejecutivo para actuar en casos migratorios. Ayer o la semana pasada firmamos la resolución y ella aceptó unos cambios que hicimos a la resolución que estamos haciendo condenando a Venezuela y pidiendo acción. Ayer también llamamos al secretario general Insunza. Hemos tenido conversaciones con el Consejo de Seguridad Nacional norteamericano, con el Departamento de Estado en varias ocasiones, y finalmente escribimos esta carta precisamente para que el gobierno actuara, diera direcciones claras y consistentes para resolver el estatus migratorio de los venezolanos aquí. Indudablemente que los eventos que hemos visto en Venezuela dan pie para cualquiera de estas personas pedir asilo político si tienen la oportunidad de pedirlo, pero lo que sabemos es que los venezolanos aquí han vivido ese mismo terror. Y si había alguna cuestión por un oficial de migración, ya hay video, hay evidencias amplias que la sociedad civil venezolana está siendo agredida, acosada y, para usar el término preciso legal, perseguida por el gobierno del señor Maduro. Yo le quiero dar las gracias a los líderes comunitarios, que son personas que trajeron esto a colación a nuestra oficina, por el trabajo que hacemos con ellos. Indudablemente que estamos muy enfocados en este tema y lo hemos estado, pero vamos a estar claros, hay que ser responsable y consecuente con lo que hacemos. Tenemos que actuar de una manera como actúa una democracia, pero a la misma vez respetando y conociendo la realidad que está pasando la nación venezolana. Dígame.
Las Cortes de Apelaciones simplemente rechazan los casos porque no les creen a las personas. A esos funcionarios le van a llamar la atención para que sean un poco más amplios y pueda la gente, como mi caso, ¿verdad?, reabrirse y que vean, tengo 10 años denunciando y no me creen.
Bueno, y una de las cosas frustrantes, ¿no?, de esto es que hemos visto por las últimas 2 semanas, hemos visto lo que estaba pasando, bueno, los meses atrás hemos visto lo que está pasando con la sociedad ucraniana, ¿no? Está en la televisión todas las noches y sin embargo ha habido un silencio que molesta, ¿no? Yo entiendo que la nación norteamericana tiene una visión un poco eurocéntrica, pero no hay mucha diferencia entre lo que está exigiendo el pueblo de Venezuela y lo que estaban exigiendo los estudiantes ucranianos. Y la falta de enfoque precisamente en estos casos es triste. Y parte de lo que queremos es que se le dé una guía, porque ya la evidencia no queda por falta de evidencia de lo que está ocurriendo en las calles de Venezuela, y esperamos que el Ejecutivo nos ayude con eso, porque el Ejecutivo tiene plena autoridad en esta área.
Congresista, ¿cómo sería eso? Eso sería una orden ejecutiva y hasta el momento el presidente realmente no se ha declarado sobre la expulsión de diplomáticos norteamericanos de Venezuela. ¿Cuán real es esto que usted propone?
No, me parece que lo que puede dar es el presidente de dirección. Hay una sociedad civil que está luchando. Tampoco, y esto ayer con varias gente hemos tenido la discusión, ¿no?, se pudiera decir, bueno, vamos a pedir un TPS general. Pero me parece que el TPS general lo que básicamente implica es que puede ser que esta lucha ha acabado. Indudablemente que eso lo van a decidir los venezolanos. Uno puede ser capitán una araña de Miami pidiendo a la gente que se inmole. Lo que es claro es que la ley norteamericana es clara a las personas que buscan refugio en este país, y si tienen un caso creíble de refugio, ahora conocemos mucho más de Venezuela, o por lo menos nosotros todos conocemos a Venezuela, pero la nación norteamericana, y a eso se les da. Pero lo que es claro es que aquí llevan miles y miles de personas que llevan esperando para resolver estos casos sin ninguna visión clara. Los últimos días ha dado por lo menos una visión clara aquí para resolver esos casos. Laura?
But are you asking for a special immigration status, a special TPS, or are you just asking for more attention focus to be put on those specific cases that are...
I think a TPS right now is premature. What we're asking is for the U.S. government, understanding what is happening there. I mean, there is a broad and huge dearth in the American public of what happens in Venezuela as opposed to what we've been watching in Ukraine for a while. There is no difference, right? They're asking for freedom. The U.S. in the past has given, in cases like this, TPS, and we may get there. But what we know for a fact is that now there is no doubt There is evidence, there is film, there are beatings, and it's being seen by the entire world community of what they are suffering. Much of that is directed by people like the Venezuelan Americans that are here that participated in the civil society in Venezuela. And so to ask these people to return to that when we know that they have credible fear of persecution, to use the word for asylum seekers or refugee seekers, is unjust, and there comes a time where the administration can clarify that to the adjudicators.
But how would that be specifically? What kind of immigration status are you?
Well, you can give them asylum, right? And many of them are asking for asylum. Let's clear up their asylum claims. Let's clear up their deportation. Let's give them re-interviews, because clearly if we didn't know, now we know. And I think no one has a right to claim ignorance when people's lives are at stake.
So
Are
to
you
be
suggesting
clear,
sanctions against the Venezuelan government? You mentioned the measure that Congressman Ross Layton is working on, and if so, what sort of sanctions?
Well, I think we've got to, we've you know, what Ileana Ross-Layton's ask is basically standard. It's asking for participation and movement. But look, this idea of oil sanctions, we've got to be very careful, because oil is a commodity. It is, if you buy it from one guy, it just goes from one guy to the next guy. There's no distinction. But we have to be clear on how we apply these sanctions, and we have to be clear that we don't end up playing the Goliath to Mr. Maduro's search for being David. What is unacceptable, and I have told State Department, is that we should not engage in direct negotiations. The problem that Mr. Chavez has is not with Barack Obama, it is not with the European Union, it is not with Colombia. The problem he has is with his own people and the lack of competence in administrating his rule in Venezuela. And the idea that he would use the suffering of his own people to force the U.S. government into some type of negotiation, I think is absurd. The problem in Venezuela is not with the U.S. government. We are still a large purchaser and a provider of much of the daily consumables as well as the resources, because we buy his oil. But the problem that he has is with his own people and his lack of cogent administration. Yes, sir.
Are you supporting the calls to block or revoke the visas of wealthy Venezuelans here in the U.S. who are allies of the Maduro-Chavez regime?
Well, I think that the U.S. State Department and National Security, as well as other agencies of the government, should be very careful about that. Clearly, that is their responsibility, and I am not about to begin to signal out people the same way a communist regime would be through association. But there is no question that there are people who are participating and aiding in this rule that are simply agents of the government, and we should very carefully look at them. Certainly, our diplomats are being expulsed from or being thrown out of Venezuela. We should. I don't want to say we should imitate, but we should be clear that people who are engaged in activities that are against the national interests of the United States should be acted upon. But it's not my job to be judge, jury, and deporter.
Congressman, your response to a call from a group of students to Senator Rubio for an embargo in Venezuela, similar to what we have with Cuba.
My response is that is ridiculous. The idea that, first of all, I think the Venezuelans in Miami would be the first to draw and quarter me. Let's be clear. What we need here is to keep the Venezuelan community and the civil society nurtured the way that these folks behind me have been doing, to help them to continue to be their voice when they can't have a voice. But the idea that we're going to lock up Venezuela, I mean, you may know of the embargo's success better than I do, but
Venezuela, si se cae el gobierno, excelente, ojalá se caiga, pero ¿qué va a pasar con los colectivos que ya tienen 12 años, que hacían esto mismo que está sucediendo ahora desde el año 2000, asesinando gente? Hoy día están desatados, matando muchísimos más.
Lo que ocurra en Venezuela va a ser en gran parte la responsabilidad del pueblo venezolano. El gobierno norteamericano no le corresponde encontrar una solución para el problema que encuentra Venezuela. El problema del señor Maduro no es con el gobierno norteamericano, es con su pueblo. Y ahí es donde tiene que ir. Y esa invitación para un diálogo con el secretario de Estado Kerry me parece que es solamente confundir y exigir a los norteamericanos entrar a un diálogo mientras él abusa de sus ciudadanos. Me parece que es una cosa absurda, y me parece que la respuesta del senador Kerry ayer fue clara y contundente en ese tema.
Hay una solicitud, rapidito, hay una solicitud de una representante estudiantil hace pocos momentos en pedir que no se compre gasolina ni a Chevron ni a Citgo, y además de eso, en apostar, nuevamente retomando la pregunta del colega, apostar por un embargo por parte de los Estados Unidos hacia la nación venezolana.
No me parece que tiene sentido. Me parece que obviamente tú debes conocer del éxito del embargo cubano que hemos tenido, que bien ha funcionado eso, ¿no? Pero la realidad es que lo que tenemos que tener es una política dirigida a apoyar la sociedad civil, nutrir esa sociedad civil como hemos estado haciendo, pero el problema que tiene el señor Maduro no es con la nación norteamericana, es con sus propios ciudadanos y la falta de competencia de esa administración a llevar un país rico al desorden que estamos viendo en este momento.
Congressman, can we go back to the asylum discussion?
Yes.
For a minute? Hello.
How you doing?
Fine, thanks. Are you suggesting that the laws that are now in place be applied, i.e. application for asylum, and that the U.S. go back and look at every one that's pending now? Is that what you're suggesting?
What I'm suggesting, Glenna, is if you go to El Arepaso and you spend an afternoon there are people under deferred deportation. There are people under work visas that ran out because the businesses were taken over in Venezuela. There are people who are still under work permits, but their entire family is here illegally because they've overstayed their visa. There are so many, a myriad of things. But the underlying uniting thing is that these are Venezuelan civil society who are looking for escaping what is now evident to everyone, if there was a lack of evidence before, which I don't think there was, but has been further clarified by the Maduro regime. And so what we're asking the administration is to give guidance to its adjudicators to grant asylum to people who are looking for asylum. Clearly the victims here are the civil society of Venezuela, which is trying to find freedom. I'm going to take one more question and then...
Joe, if you had the President's ear and Mr. Kerry's ear, what would you tell them our stance, U.S. stance, should be towards Venezuela in light of all the criticism that we're just sort of standing by and watching?
Well, look, let's be clear. There is nothing more common in Miami to blame the other political party. And I want to be clear, because I have watched for the last few days and stayed silent as people use the suffering of the Venezuelan people for gaining in petty political partisan elections in Miami. It is absurd. And it undermines the suffering of the Venezuelan people. What is clear is that this administration is acting in an intelligent manner and is going to continue to be there. Obviously, I have their ear because I am a member of the party that is in power, and we for lack of a better word, run the State Department. And so I am using my friends in the community and those who I don't even agree with to sort of get a sense of what's happening in Venezuela. But what is clear is we have to keep helping the civil society. We have to give a clear moral position, and we have to use international organisms to pressure the regime to move in a direction that makes sense and preserves order and gives a way out to the democratic society in Venezuela. I have, through my conversations, I find that, interestingly enough, the civil society in Venezuela would like Mr. Insunza to move more aggressively. Not that we've been very pleased with his actions in the past, but clearly we have to find a solution to this impasse, or I think disorder and more pain and more suffering and more death will come. And what we need to do is find a way forward for Venezuela. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all being here. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Se lo apreciamos.